What is going on, everyone? Thank you guys for visiting me in this next tutorial. So in this particular video, I'm behind the camera, but that's okay. In this one, I'm going to be pointing out the hardware components for a 3D printer, very specifically the AnkerMake M5. I'm going to be telling you guys what the particular components do. Now, I'm doing this not because I want to insult anyone's intelligence, it's because I simply want everyone to know exactly what the components do. And from there, you guys will be able to clearly understand me within the future videos, as well as any other tutorials that you guys watch. So I'm gonna kind of run through this quickly. If you need to watch it a few times, go for it. But we'll jump right in. So the very first component that I'm gonna be talking to you guys about is this right here. Now, this is a PEI flex bed. Now, this is a particular kind of bed which you print on, and whenever your print is done, you can bend it in order to pop off your 3D printed part. In a standard 3D printer, or in the old ways that used to 3D print, you would print on a glass surface. You would literally print on glass. Now, there's a lot of reasons why we don't do that anymore, just a lot more difficult. But in any case, this is a textured PEI surface. Sometimes you can get a PEI sheet which has smooth texture, and we call that a smooth PEI print bed. Now, you have the print surface on this particular printer, which moves along the Y-axis. You have the hot end assembly. This moves along the X-axis. You have over here your screen control. And over here, you're gonna have a filament runout sensor. So over here, a filament runout sensor, what happens is whenever the particular spool of material that you're printing with runs out, there's a sensor in here that literally, it just says, hey, you have no more filament. And what that does is that sensor is connected to the board or the brains of this computer or this 3D printer, and it says, hey, there's no more filament, pause the print. Because if you don't pause the print, then the hot end assembly right here is gonna keep going, and it's gonna keep trying to print, except if there's no material, then you're obviously not printing anything, and in some cases, you might run out of material, come back 2 hours later, and you've been printing without material for 2 hours, and now you have to throw the entire print out and start over. So you have a filament runout sensor in here. It just tells you when the filament is gone. Up here, you're gonna have your filament spool holder. It literally just holds the filament. This way it can roll. Now, this particular machine is a little bit special because it is a direct drive 3D printing setup. Now, direct drive means you have an extruder that is built into the hot end assembly. So what the extruder does is it has two gears on it. You push the filament through these two gears, and now, of course, that's over here because it's direct drive and it's built into the hot end assembly. But you push the filament into the gears, and the extruder actually pulls the filament directly through the hot end. Now, that is a little bit different. Whereas some machines are not direct drive, they're a standard Bowden setup. And this is my extruder on this miniature printer. My extruder is on the back of the machine. So you see right here, my filament goes in this little piece of white Bowden tube, which is the same over here. My filament goes in this little piece of black Bowden tube. And my extruder right here pulls the filament along this blue Bowden tube directly into the hot end, which is over here. This is not a direct drive printer because the extruder is all the way over here. This is a direct drive machine. So on direct drive, you still have a Bowden tube. So this is my Bowden tube. It's this black tube right here. So you still have a Bowden tube, except it's just the location of where the extruder is. In order to further this explanation a little bit, I have removed this entire assembly, and I will have a completely separate video for beginner basics on how to do that, because that's going to be very important later on. But what I want to show you guys is this black gear right here. Now this black gear actually is one of the main extruder gears. So this motor that you see right here, this big black block with these 4 screws on the side of it, that is the motor that actually turns your extruder. So over here, you have your filament runout sensor, and you have a Bowden tube that guides the filament into the extruder, which is built into the hot end right here. Now, in here you also have a hot end. The hot end has a heat block on it, and the heat block is connected to power. That power makes the heat block hot, and you have a brass nozzle that is screwed into the heat block. This brass nozzle then is obviously hot, and as your filament gets pulled from the extruder through the hot end, it touches the nozzle, it melts, and then the nozzle places the plastic wherever it needs to go. On this particular machine, you have your screen over here. We'll get into this later. You've got a camera. This is very specific to this printer. Most machines do not have a camera built in. And then lastly, you've got your Z-axis. This whole gantry moves up and down. That's your Z-axis. And this is actually operated by a screw. I don't know if you can see that screw in that hole, but this Z-axis is operated by a screw. And you've got your X-axis. It has a belt right here that moves left and right. And then your Y-axis is operated by 2 belts in here. Guys, it's a very bad idea to move these when the machine is turned off. You can damage your hardware, you can damage your 3D printer. So if the machine is turned off, do not move these manually, or if you have to, do it as little as possible. Anyway, guys, that is just a very brief run through of all the hardware, the names of everything, what it all does. I'll see you on the next tutorial. If this was helpful, please give me a like and a subscribe. Put some comments, tell me what you want to see. Guys, I'll see you on the next tutorial.